Using Bisa Butler's work as inspiration for this project, we're going to start by searching for a portrait of a person that we find inspirational on Google. And then I'm going to show you how you can alter that image using an application on your Chromebook. So, what I did here was I Googled some of Bisa Butler's work. The first thing I want to show you is how her use of color in her portraits. If you look closely, she blocks the color in areas that would be a similar tone. If you look closely, you'll notice areas that she uses warm colors like yellows, pinks, reds, oranges. Those are areas where the light would be hitting a person's face. Or she uses a lighter tone of a cool color. In areas that she wants to show shadows, she will typically use a dark shade of a cool color. So this image here has mostly cool colors on it with a couple of warm colors. Uh, if you look at another one of her portraits, here she exaggerates the warm colors a little bit more, showing a little bit more light on this person's face. If you look at an image like this, she's using kind of an analogous color scheme where the colors are close to each other on the color wheel. But in areas where the light would hit the face, you can still see that she's using a lighter color. So if this image was in black and white, these areas where she has lighter blue and kind of this yellow green, that would show up as a lighter gray tone. And these areas where she has this darker blue or these black areas, that would show up as a darker gray or a black. So what I want you to think about as we are getting started, and it might help if you keep a window of Google up with Bisa Butler's work so that as you are altering the color, you have those there for reference as you are changing up your color palette. What I want you to do is think about a person that you find inspirational, and we're going to create a portrait of that person. So we are going to do mostly drawing for the face, and then we're going to use some of our pattern papers for the backgrounds and the outfits. So I'm going to go over here to this little plus button, and that'll take me to Google, and I'm going to type in the name of a person that I find inspirational, and I'm going to do Bisa Butler. I think she is an incredible modern artist. I think that she is commenting on showing people of color in a positive light. So as an artist myself, I find her to be very inspirational. So I'm going to type in the person's name that I find inspirational, and then I'm going to type in the word portrait. When you type in the word portrait, that'll ensure that you'll mainly be getting images of this person from the torso up. It'll typically be an image of that person with not as much else going on around them. And she's known for creating portraits, so a lot of her artwork is also going to show up. So now I'm going to look for images of her, and I saw this one earlier that I really liked. And when I click on that image, down below, you'll see that there are other images that are pretty similar to this first one. So actually, I like this one here because that zooms in on her face a little bit more than that first one. So that way actually, no, I like this. That way, when I go to change the colors using the application, I will be able to focus mainly on that person's face. And I will show you how to crop the image also if you need to. So to save this image, I'm going to tap my touchpad with 2 fingers so that this little window pops up. And then I'm going to click on Save Image As. Then this window will pop up. I'm going to save this to my desktop so that I can find it easily later on. I am going to rename it. So I clicked on here to highlight this area. I'm going to name this Bisa Butler. I keep forgetting that A on there. All right, so now it should show up over here somewhere. I'm gonna hit save. Okay, and you'll also see that it's saved down here, but I saw that pop up. So now I can double click on that image. For the next portion of the project, you're gonna alter the portrait using 3D paint. I'm going to keep some of Bisa Butler's work open in one of my Google searches so that I can look at her color schemes as I am altering the colors on the portrait of the person that I am choosing to focus on for this project. First thing I'm going to do is double click on the image that I saved, and that'll bring up this window right here. In this window, I am going to click on the Edit and Create button, and I'm going to scroll all the way down to Edit with Paint 3D. Now I have some capabilities to change out some of these colors. So what I'm going to do first is if I need to crop some areas off of my image to focus more on the person's face, I'm going to do that first. So I'm going to click crop, and then I can press down and slide my window so that I can get a little bit more focus on just that person's face. And I can either click enter on my keyboard or hit done. I'm going to hit enter. So now I'm in this window here. It might help if you zoom in by taking your two fingers and kind of spreading them apart on your touchpad. And that way you can zoom either in or out. And I'm trying to slide here. Doesn't want to. Okay, there we go. All right, and then I'm going to click on this paint bucket. When you click on the paint bucket, you'll see several things pop up. You'll see tolerance and opacity. Opaque is how much you can see through the color. We want to see the colors as solid, so I'm going to keep my opacity where it is. Tolerance is going to be how many little pixels end up changing color when you click on it. So if I have my tolerance set down a little bit lower with my paint bucket on and I click an area, it'll fill in a smaller space. I'm going to hit undo because that's not what I want. If I want my tolerance to be higher and I want more space to fill in when I click on an area, I'll up the tolerance. Ooh, I did that way too much. I'm going to turn that down a little bit. Okay, so I'm at 24 now. So I'll hit that, and then that'll fill in a larger area at a time. So that's something to think about when you are filling in these spaces. And I would highly recommend doing more than one version of altering the color on your person's portrait. I'm going to go ahead and undo. It started out with the tolerance at about 15. I'm going to make that go down to 10. Looking at this portrait, I can see that I'm going to think about her mood. So she looks like she's proud. This looks like a portrait that was done after that video that we watched. And I can also tell that there's a lot of light in the room. So instead of doing an analogous color scheme like this portrait here, where this person looks like maybe they're in a little bit of a frustrated mood, so she used primarily cool colors there. I'm going to do a mix of warm and cool colors, kind of like she did on this portrait and even this portrait here. So choosing your color scheme, that also helps to show what mood the person in your portrait might be in. So again, I can see that there's a lot of light. She's looking proud. So I'm going to use some brighter colors for where the light is hitting her face, some warm colors. So I'm going to start with yellow. She uses nice bold colors, so I might not change the yellow a whole lot. But if you wanted that yellow to have more of a tint to it, you might come over here and add a little bit of white. If you want it to be a little bit more shaded, you might add a little bit of black. I'm going to stick with that bright yellow and hit OK. Make sure I have my paint bucket on, and I'm going to look closely, and the areas that look the lightest to me, minus her eyes, I'm going to click on, and my paint bucket will fill those areas in. So that's kind of the brightest space. So now I'm going to take another color that's slightly darker, more of a medium, but still pretty bright. So I'm going to have another warm color, and I'm going to add that in. I like this how it is, so I'm just going to leave that there. So I'm going to find kind of my medium lights, and that filled in larger area than I would like. So I am going to move my tolerance down a little bit so that I can fill in a smaller area. I like that a little bit better. And there's some light hitting around her eyes that I would like to change to this kind of medium color. And on her chin, oh, that was a little bit more than I would like. A little bit too much. Anytime I click an area and I decide, oh, I'm not really feeling that, I can just click undo right there. I'd like that to be a little bit darker, that shade there. I'm going to make my tolerance a little bit lower even, so I can really focus on some of these lighter areas. I'm liking this a little bit better. The only downside of lowering the tolerance is then when you go to draw this on your paper, you'll have some more little divots to fill in. But I'll just go ahead and fill those in now with my paint. So I'm going to do one more warm color that can transition me from my warm colors into my cooler colors where there's some more shadows. This is a little bit lighter, so I'm going to go ahead and get that. Okay, so now I'm going to add in some reds, and I want to shade that red a little bit because I'm transitioning into my cooler colors. So I added a little bit of black by clicking down. And again, if I'm wanting to fill in larger areas, I can always move my tolerance up a little. That's a little too much. This is why it's important to try this a few different ways. And that way you can play around with the color scheme too. Now, I was thinking that was a little bit much before, but I'm kind of liking that now. So now I'm going to transition to my cool colors. No, I don't like that. Okay, cool colors. So I'm going to do some bright blues first because even though there's a little bit more shading here, there's still a lot of light hitting. So I want it to be a nice bright blue to start out. Try to get all the colors that would be about the same tone. All right, and now I'm going to do some darker. I might stick with blue, but I'm going to go over to this darker blue. Add a little bit of black to it. And she doesn't alter her eyes a whole lot, but I'm trying to get the space around her eye here. I'm going to up my tolerance slightly. There we go. And that went into my background, which is okay. But I would really like to differentiate between her hair and her skin. So I'm going to lower my tolerance back down. Add in some of those shadows. And I forgot all about her teeth. So I'm going to add, and her teeth are pretty bright. So I might make those match more of my warm yellows. And now I'm going to focus on her hair. I'm going to make her hair kind of some deep purples. I like that this is showing the texture, and I'm going to make where the light is hitting her hair a lighter purple. So I'm going to click on that bar, maybe click a lighter tint and fill in there. I'm going to up the tolerance on that. Fill in a larger space. Oop, that got my background, went a little too far on the tolerance. As you can see, it's a lot of kind of clicking around and testing things out before you get to a place that you really are happy with. There, that's a lot better. And get some of her lighter braids. Here. And that got my background a little bit, but that doesn't bother me because I can still see where her braids are. Ah, too much. And for the rest of her braids down here, instead of clicking on each individual one, I can look at the shape when I start my drawing. So I'm not going to worry about getting every little thing. And then for her braids in the back, I think I'm going to go to a deep blue, maybe even darker than where I had the shadows on her face. Okay, so I am pretty happy with this. Might lower the tolerance a little more so I can get a little bit more detail. There we go. All right, so I'm pretty happy with this. So even though I might go back and make some more changes later or use a different color palette, I'm going to go ahead and save this. So I'm going to go to Menu and Save As, Image, and I already made one Bisa Butler attempt, so I'm going to call this one Bisa Butler 2, and I want to save it to my desktop. You can make a folder if you want to with these images. Hit Save, and it should pop up somewhere on. I'm going to hit Don't Save because this would replace my original. Oh, I see it. All right, so here's my Bisa Butler 2. That's the one I just created. And then here's my Bisa Butler 1. So they're similar, but there are definitely some differences. So I'm going to do this one more time, but I'm going to try it with a different color scheme. And I'm going to speed my video up. So you don't necessarily have to sit here and watch me do every little piece, but I am going to show you, or you know what, I'll just show you the finished products. I will show you some different color schemes with the same image. So you can see that when you're altering the colors, you do have some choice. And again, always go back and reference Bisa Butler's work because she already has some lovely color schemes chosen. So you can kind of use that as inspiration for your own color choices. Now that you know how to alter an image using 3D Paint, go ahead and try this several more times. Even try it while looking at Bisa Butler's work on the screen as you work so that you can copy some of her colors and try it in your own work. I would recommend looking at some of Bisa Butler's work as you are creating your color schemes to get ideas. I pulled up some of her work on the screen as I was working so that I could match the color as closely as I could. As you can see, it's taken me multiple attempts to try to get the color scheme that I think I might want to use. When I'm all finished testing this out, I'll look at all of my different attempts and see which one I like best for my final project. No worries if this has taken you some time. You'll have plenty of time to work on this tomorrow, knowing that this is probably going to take a little bit of time to get used to, and you'll need some additional time to finish this up. So, again, if you've only had time to test out maybe one today, you'll have some more time tomorrow to finish this up and try a few more attempts until you get a color scheme that you are happy with.